Hello boys and girls, welcome back to the Limp Noodle YouTube channel. It's been a little while since I've uploaded anything, so I wanted to give you a little bit of recap back to Power Cruise when we had some issues with the truck, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching.
Well, cooling. We're getting hot. Cool down, baby. Cool down. How's it going? Yeah. Yeah, there's coolant on the ground. There's something on the ground. Hear that? Yeah. It's hard too.
Well boys, here she is, all tore down, looking like a poor, sad little truck. At Power Cruise, we had some unfortunate events. Unfortunate, yes, that's in the dictionary. And we happened to blow a head gasket, and in doing so, here we are, we did that. You know, we weren't sure if the head gasket was popped. We didn't realize it, and we did drive it for a bit. Basically, we blew a coolant hose going around the Power Cruise, and I thought it was just the coolant hose. We drove it to a stop, shut it down, ended up firing it back up, and we could hear a popping noise. It was the compression coming out of this, but I thought it was, like a header gasket or something. I was dumb. And so this is where we're at. But luckily I have some other, these are 706 stock heads. There's nothing special about them. So luckily I've got some other ones on the shelf that we can throw in here. Of course we could probably have this welded and then milled down. Sorry about the camera. So we could probably have this welded and milled down, but why do all that when I have a couple more on the shelf? So I do know that the ones on the shelf have had issues with our exhaust bolt holes being cross-threaded and stuff. So I'm going to send them off, the other ones off to the machine shop anyway, and hopefully we can get this guy up and running. While we're doing this, we got to replace the head anyway, right? We got it all torn apart. It's so nice with the head ripped off of this thing, man. There's so much room in here all of a sudden. But while we're in there, this thing didn't have a steam vent port kit, so only the front was steam vented, and you can kind of see, these are our front cylinders, how they're a little more sooty black, and these ones get kind of hot. They're real white. Yeah, this one's probably saw some coolant, but really it didn't do anything. This is the way this has been the last time we took it off too. So these two get really hot, and this back one for sure got hot, and it's got some damage on it from before when we blew the engine up. So it's cracked around the edge there. It's pitted. There's some stuff there. So this head honestly is probably just junk. Yeah, I could have that welded and milled, and we could probably run with it, but I'm not going to, because we still have this stuff too, So I'm just going to throw a different head on it, and when we do that, I'm going to put a steam vent kit on so that these two cylinders don't get super hot, and hopefully, that'll save us some issues in the future, and we can still throw a little more timing to it and have fun there. We're going to reuse our spark plugs because, those are brand new, but we got to do that. We got to do the steam vent kit. Travis already stole my injectors for his Camaro to see if the injectors were an issue. So I do have the 1000cc injectors that are on the cutlass right now. And here, hold on. And here's the plan with the 1000cc injectors that are on the cutlass right now. So I had those originally for the S10. They were meant to go into this guy because it has 80-pound Siemens Decas in it right now, or did, whatever. It has Siemens Decas. So Travis had the same injectors in the Camaro. He's been having all his issues, so he wanted to check. I was like, just take the 80s from the S10, put them in the Camaro. I have to put the 1000s in the S10 anyway since it's all torn apart. And this thing, we already maxed the fuel system out on. We already maxed those injectors out on and stuff. So I do have a set of 210cc Bosch injectors for that from VS Racing. We're going to throw those in. We're working on plumbing the second fuel pump. It's a Holley 100-pound pump that I had laying around. That's going to run in line with the MagnaFuel 4303 that's in there now. And so we're going to have that set up on the ECU so that it'll kick on around 10 pounds of boost or so. So that'll be really useful. We have new injectors for that. The injectors from that are going to this, and the injectors from this are going to that. It's kind of a whole rigmarole. But yeah, so with the S10, we're going to put a new head on there, get it machined, make sure the holes are all good with the threads. We're going to put the other 1000cc injectors in here. We are going to put a steam vent kit on the engine. We are going to probably rewrap this header because she's looking pretty rough. Obviously, we're going to put a new head gasket in there. There's the damage on the little head gasket. She got blown out really good. And yeah, so that's kind of the plan. Other than that, it's all going to stay the same. We're not getting crazy. I'm even going to reuse the header gasket that was in here because it's in good shape. So S10 should be up and running fairly soon. I just ordered parts today. I've been kind of slacking on that, but I ordered parts for that. I ordered some parts for the cutlass. We needed new relays for the fuel pump. We needed a couple fittings, stuff like that. We have a set of stainless, 304 stainless F-body tubular headers for this thing. These are long tubes, and we're going to try to put them in, and hopefully they fit really. I've heard that the tubular F-body long tubes fit really good on G-body cars, so we're going to test that theory. These are about 250 bucks, so comparatively, if you guys have looked for G-body frickin' headers for like an 87 Cutlass, they're not cheap. The shorties, they're easy enough to find, but the long tubes are not cheap at all. And right now we have a set of shorties on here that were originally for the S10 when it was naturally aspirated. And I had them on the shelf. So we figured, hey, we'll use them to get it running, get it started, do the things. And we have, you know, our flex pipe exhaust down there with a couple random mufflers on it. We're getting rid of that, right? That's all just hanging by mechanical wire. It's nothing crazy. So we're going to get rid of that. We're going to put in the long tubes. We're going to put in I got some mufflers ordered. They're MagnaFlow, and I'll do a whole video on that too. But they're basically MagnaFlow bullet mufflers, and I hope it's not going to be too loud. So basically, we're probably going to end up coming out 45 in it and just coming out the side again. We'll see how it all works out. But it's all going to be 3-inch. They're much bigger headers. It should have a throatier sound than it does now. Everything should be good there. So this guy is going to get finished working. That way we can go out, we can test that trans brake on the street and see what goes on there. Who knows? Maybe we'll even get a wheel stand out of the situation. I should put some plates underneath there just in case. But I've been slacking on that too. I really been pretty busy and trying to take some time for myself, so we haven't been doing a ton at the shop. Unfortunately, we got this tore down right after Power Cruise, and it's just been sitting here that way. So we got all our parts and shit laying out here on the table. We're gonna get to it. As soon as parts come in, we'll go ahead and we'll get on it, you know what I mean? And I'll try to, while I'm in there, I'll try to rectify the little things like the injectors and the steam vent kit. But that's where we're at. I thought I'd give you a quick, easy update. Nothing crazy going on here. We'll see, probably too, we'll try to see if those injectors do anything with the Camaro. Hopefully you guys can see that run soon. It's just one of them things that we don't get to with all this other stuff going on. And the car has some weird issues that we just haven't had time to really dig into and figure out. We've done a bunch of tests on that car, but we're getting there. Hopefully this will take care of it and we can move on. But until then, the Cutlass, the S10, those are our main huckleberries for now. And we'll just keep on keeping on. All right, well, we're finally getting down to some work on the S10. Travis finally getting some fuel lines fixed on the Marrow. So hopefully we can fire that up. And Dustin just lapping valves for the new head to go on. I'm taking the springs out of the old head so we can swap them to that one. And we got to put all this crap back in. All right, well, we've got the new head reassembled, all the springs in there. We've got our head gasket ready. Dusty's putting in the new spark plugs. We did have one melted spark plug. It got really hot. As you can see, she's a little gross. But all in all, we got new injectors on the intake. He's getting that ready. And we're just gonna pop the old head right back in here. I've got the whole surface cleaned up. This is gonna be fun. So, moving along. So, a little update on the steam port here. It's a little jank, you know. I think we got to give these lines just a little bendy poo here and there to make things really line up. Just obviously wanting to bind up just a little bit. I don't know if we just have them on wrong, but I don't think we do. And even if we swapped them around, it wouldn't make any difference. Like this one, we can just, you know, give him a little bend out. Like if I held you here, you just, yeah, give him a little finesse. We'll just keep on finessing things until this lays nice and flat where it's supposed to be.
There's carpet that goes over it.
I think.
Oh, man.
Are these even all the way in?
Those aren't. Those are loose still.
Maybe that's difference in, you know, length that is fighting us. But all in all, heads on and torque down. So we're that far with that anyway. Make sure our wires are out of the way, but she's looking clean. Just gotta, you know, do everything else now. No big deal. No big deal.
You want to go digging around this fucker? There's gonna be big.
Apparently, one of the fittings didn't fit for the Camaro, so that's not gonna run today. What a bum. All right, guys, quick update. Now that we got the motor all together. Hey, it's all together and really it should fire right up. We just went ahead to prime the fuel system, and we had a couple of fittings leak. This fitting here and another 90 back there on the fuel regulator, but it's weird because they just so happen to be two fittings that I didn't even take off the truck. So they're leaking right from the body of the fitting, and that sucks. So I'm just gonna have to replace those fittings. I could get them in town, I could get them right away, but that would be like probably 25 bucks for the fittings, whereas I can get them for like 10 bucks online. So for now, that's gonna wait. I ordered some fittings and I'll just wait to fire it up. It's not that big a deal. You'll notice that the intake charge pipe is off and the radiator hose is off. We do need this little guy. If you recall, we blew a head gasket at Power Cruise and that pressure must have overwhelmed this little coupler and slid it open. I think there's also something right there, but this thing leaks. So I went to Menards today and I got another one. For those of you that don't know, my radiator hose is kind of slapped together. I tried finding one that would match. I looked at all the ones at the parts stores that I could find, and this was the closest one, but it just doesn't match up quite right. So right now we've got kind of a cobbled together deal. This used to be a 5.3 liter like 2002 Silverado radiator hose, and it fit perfectly. But when I put the new radiator in and messed around with some other stuff, over time as we changed things, it just no longer fit. But so now it's like a 90 and this thing and a straight, and then there's this random little piece of thing in there, and then that 90 goes onto that. But it's a janky setup. I can't get anything else to fit, so that's what we use. And right now we got to get that on, and I got to wait on them fittings, I guess, to start the thing up. But in theory, as long as we don't run into any real issues, this thing should be right back to where it was at Power Cruise, ready to rock. Some of the things we're gonna focus on, you can see Travis gave it a nice spit shine. It's real pretty. But some of the things we're gonna focus on is trying to get this thing to hook in the back. We have these Nitto 555Rs on here right now, and they don't hook at all. They're a good amount worse than the Hoosiers that I had on there before, and these are they're a taller and a wider tire, so they really should hook better than the Hoosiers I had on before, but they don't. So they're probably a better street tire. They're a harder compound, and they don't fade away as much. But yeah, so we're gonna try to get some Mickey Thompsons on this thing. We're gonna swap those out, put some Mickey Thompsons on it, and see if that'll help. Along with, I still have two leaf springs, the stock leaf springs under this truck. I cut out the overload spring, but I think we're gonna pull one of those springs out and try to do a mono leaf situation without actually paying for mono leaves, because I'm cheap. And we'll see if that helps this thing squat down a little bit, because right now, like, there's just not a whole lot of give there, and there should be. So we'll have to deal with that. We might try adjusting the preload on the Caltrax, depending on where that leads us. But those are our three things that we could really do to try to help this thing without spending any money. The fourth option is I may just make a nice aluminum tonneau cover for this thing. And if we do, we'll walk you through what I do for that. But if you guys look at these beds, it's got a little lip right there, and that's exactly 1/8 of an inch. So if I got 1/8 inch aluminum, which is thicker than what people generally use, and I just put it right on that, I mean, it would be flush with the bed, absolutely flush. And I can use aluminum angle iron as structure if I need to, but we can have it come all the way from the front. And if I use two sheets, I use the 4-foot side of the sheet, it lands, I think, like right here, and if I put a full length hinge across here, we'll be able, and we can just use hood pins somehow on the angle iron. We can undo the hood pins, flop this side up to get to the ice box, flop it back down. If we want to use this side of the bed, we can flop this up, and I think it would work pretty good. With that much material of 1/8 inch plus the angle iron, we'd probably be putting another 120 pounds on the back of this truck, roughly. I haven't done the math, but it's very close to that. So, I mean, it would probably help with our traction, putting some more weight on there. And I would have
little left over, enough left over to do a small wing. I don't want, I mean, I could do a full wing with the amount that I have left over, but I really don't want that look, man. I'm not, this isn't supposed to be a race truck, really. It's supposed to be a street truck, and I don't mind a little wing, but I don't want to get crazy with it. So if I can come out, you know, like 6 inches, 8 inches maybe, with a slight ramp on the wing and some air dams on the side to direct, you know, build a couple of what do you call them, braces across the back, you know, like 5 braces across the back of the tailgate, and weld those in. Then that way when you pull the tailgate down, you know, that whole wing just kind of goes with it, and it's all good. Yeah, so you can either pull the tailgate or you can just lift this thing up, get to the ice box. It's important to have things accessible, and like I say, I've worked really hard over time not to put anything in the bed of this truck. So I mean, we got the ice box in there, but that's like it. I like to be able to use the bed if we really need to, street truck life, but that's our 4th option. I don't know if it's a good one or not, but I think that would help tremendously. It's something like Power Cruise, where you're coming into a roll at about 30 miles an hour. You know, I'll have a little bit more weight back there. I'll have a little bit of downforce on that wing, and that'll probably help me hook a lot better with a better tire. And yeah, well, what I might do is I might, instead of using these wheels, I might just look into get Mickey Thompsons that are 17-inch. It depends on the price difference, because they tend to be pretty pricey the way they are. And the larger rim wheel you go with, generally, it gets more expensive. But I might get a Mickey Thompson that'll fit, you know, like these wheels, so that it looks uniform from front to back all the time. Plus, these wheels are significantly heavier than those wheels, which I thought was an upgrade at first, but it's in the wrong spot. Like if I had these up there, you know, to take the weight off the front, and then the old rims over here to put weight on the rear, that would be best. But maybe we just run all the matching wheels. Looks a little better. It's just, I don't want to add weight to the truck if I don't have to. You know, it's already about 3,600 pounds. It's a little over, it's 3,600 and change with me in it. All wet, full of fluids and everything. And that's a lot of weight, man. And I really don't want to add more weight to it, but if I have no other choice, we're not going to go fast if we don't grab the ground. It doesn't matter what we do. If I throw 120 pounds on the back of this truck, it's going to go, and I can hook, it's going to go faster than what it'll do without that 120 pounds, not grabbing the road, just spinning and burning tires off. Because at Power Cruise, I could not stomp the throttle. You know, going in there, I was easing in and easing in. I wish we would have got it on camera, but the very first time I tried to go down the drag strip at that 30-mile-an-hour roll, I stomped it, and that truck went super sideways. We were aiming right at the brick, thought we were gonna die for a second. We didn't. It was all good, but I tried twice to get into it, and it blew the tires off and sent us sideways each time. So also, maybe an alignment is up for grabs on this. We might be running E85 this year. I'm pretty sure I will be, depending on whether I just switch the whole tune over or whatever, or if I use the sensor and see if I can't get some professional help there. But we do now have 1000cc injectors out of the Cutlass in here. The old Cuddy, she got the 210s, which was fun too, because when we did that, you know, they're a shorter injector, which is what they were meant to be in the first place. I don't know if you guys remember, if you watch back on my videos of this Whipple, when we got it, it had these little rings. They're hard to see. Let me see if I can get a close up on there for you. There's a little ring, little metal ring right at the base of this injector. And that little metal ring was meant to seal the injectors, because if you use shorty injectors, when you snug down that fuel rail all the way, it doesn't get that injector far enough down. The hole for the injector is too big, and it'll just keep pushing the injector down. It worked great with those Deca 1000, or not Decas. What were they? Snake Eater 1000s. It worked great with those ones. They're taller body, and I didn't need those rings for that. But when I switched to this, I needed them. Plus, I got to get all the information on that bugger for the 210, and I can show you guys what I did for that. It's so easy. It's so easy to change injector information if the injector is in the software, like the 210s are and the 1000s are. It's just literally bam, you know, you flip injector name and it changes all the information for you. And then I just go to on this, So I probably haven't walked you guys through this either. On this, we redid the whole fuel system. I added another fuel pump because we were running the 4303 Magna Fuel, and it topped it out with this big, gigantic monster of a pulley on here. It still makes 15 pounds of boost with this particular engine setup. And at 15 pounds of boost, it was way over maxing that 4303. Like 130. What was it? It was a lot. We overmaxed it a lot, and those injectors, those 1000 cc injectors, were like 133% at like $6,000. So they were way overworked. So we got the 210s in here, and I thought about getting another 4303. I thought about buying a 5 gallon per minute aeromotive pump, something like that. But what I ended up doing is I had a Holley pump. It's 100 pound per hour billet aluminum pump, external. Everything was Dash 8N. It was really easy to just add it in. And I actually had enough line here at the shop to do it. So all I had to do was buy like 25 bucks in fittings, I think. And we just redid it. So what I have now is I have that 4303, that 100 gallon per hour Holley pump, and they both run 8AN feeds, and those two 8AN feeds out tee into a 10AN, and that 10AN runs all the way up here. That's this bad boy right here, and then it tees off to go into each fuel rail rather. So now we should have enough fuel for, I mean, really, we should have enough fuel for about 1500 crank, which I don't think we'll ever hit with this motor. So you know, if we're going for 1500 crank, I think we're just going to need a different setup. I think even with nitrous, because I do plan on putting nitrous on here if you guys didn't know. Even with nitrous, I think as a scramble button, we're probably only going to be like 12 or 1300 horse, which is a lot. You know, I don't want to downplay it. It's more than I've ever experienced in my life, and probably more than I can handle being the little bitch that I am. But that's what it's going to get. So we should have enough fuel to easily make it over that. In the meantime, this little bugger is ready. Those are the upgrades that we are going to do this winter. I'm going to try to keep it simple and not get crazy. I just, you know, I want it back to, it was making good power, and that was only on 8 or 9 pounds of boost. It was making really good power. This time I'm going to add some magic to the wastegate, and we're going to crank the boost up. We'll probably get around 14 pounds, 15 pounds. This is a P59 ECU on this stock 5.3 ECU, and it's only really capable of handling 2 bar. It doesn't go to 3 bar. However, I had a buddy in Arizona that sent me a 3 bar tune out of like I don't know, some build that he was doing. So I can take that operating system and put it on that computer. I actually did it once before, but I was running into a lot of issues. There were a lot of tables modifying my timing, and I just had no power, and I couldn't figure out why, and I really struggled for a bit with that. So I just switched back to my old setup, and I didn't worry about it. I'm gonna try putting it back on there so that we can crank that boost up. I'm kind of timid about cranking it way up. You know, 15 pounds is gonna be, it's gonna be a lot, and I think as long as we get to our 14, 15 pounds by the end of the summer on ethanol, I'll be super happy with that for the year. I want to be able to use it just like I kind of planned for this year. I want to be able to use it next year. You know what I mean? And just not break it. And it should be fine at that. You know what I mean? Who knows what we're going to find that'll fail, but that should be fine at that. And at the same time, you know, if we go out to the track again, we can run a little bit better times, even on 9 pounds of boost. I know I can. I was looking at the spark plugs when we had the head off and stuff, and we did, the engine got so hot that it actually melted one. I mean, it just, this isn't because of a bad tune or timing, anything like that, but it did melt one. You know, once this head gasket went, everything went downhill. So, and we could have very easily, I mean, guys, we could have very easily had this welded and, you know, plane this out and reuse this head. The only issue I have with that is that, I mean, there is some damage you can see right here. And if you look really closely around this, and this has been this way for a while, but still, this cylinder head is seeing some serious, like it's got some cracking around this chamber. This is really bad here. It was that way before, you know, we ran it this last time, but I just was like, screw it, I'm running it. You know, I don't want to do that anymore. So we'll just keep on keeping on.